No King's Protest and the Seventh King, Part 2. Our lesson tonight entitled No King's Protest and the Seventh King, Part 2. We'll be dealing with scripture from Revelation chapter 17, verse 10, quote, "And there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen, and 1 is, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space." Selah. In the progression of Latter-day Prophecy study, our goal is to identify warning signs from Yah, which tell us what to be aware in real-time events that impact our lives and our mission for the kingdom of Yah. Tonight's continuation of the study topic entitled No King's Protest and the Seventh King, Part 2, is a study topic that we believe is currently approaching, and that we need to keep an eye on this for the sake of understanding the warning from Scripture regarding the coming of a 7th king from a succession of 7 rulers altogether that Satan uses down through history to oppress and or undermine the progress of Yah's people from being a light of witness and truth to themselves and to all peoples unto the ends of the earth. As stated in Isaiah 49:6, quote, "And he said, it is a light thing that thou shouldest be my servant to rise up the tribes of Jacob and to restore the preserved of Israel. I will also give thee for a light to the Gentiles, that thou mayest be my salvation, according as the word has said, to the end of the earth." So our lesson tonight is reviewing the 7 kings, the 7th king in particular, because historically, these kings that are listed in that verse, representing verses 8, 9, 10, were all oppressors of the progress of the Israelite people. This 7th ruler, though, he will be a direct oppressor of Nazari Israelites. Nazari Israelites. Now, again, we know some of you, this is still new language to understand the term Nazari. It's just simply the Hebrew phrase for the term Nazareth, which we use Nazari to distinguish from the Christian denomination church called Church of the Nazarene. And we use the actual indigenous Hebrew word for Nazareth as Nazari. So the Nazari Israelites, this is a classification that disturbs Satan more than any other spiritual classification. This really causes Hashatan to raise up all nations against you. As our master said in Matthew 24, "And you will be hated by all nations for my name's sake." Not just that you will be hated by nations for being an Israelite. No, you will be hated most certainly by Satan more than that, to be an Israelite who is a Nazari proclaimer of the good news of Yeshua and keeping of the commandments. That's what Satan is really concerned about. Now, according to what we just read in chapter 49 of Isaiah verse 6, we're going to look in our lesson tonight as to the 7th king being someone who will resist or lead a resistance against Nazarene Israelites who are to be used by Yah in these last days to be a light to the world, to the ends of the earth, and a witness of Yah's salvation to the ends of the earth. Now, the opposition that we encountered in this walk, and I'm convinced that everyone on this line tonight are Nazari who keep the commandments of Yah and have the testimony, the true testimony of Yeshua. Now, 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 6, it states that the God of this world, Satan, is trying his best to keep the world in darkness to the light of the good news of Nazarene Israelites, like the Apostle Paul was. He was a Nazarene Israelite, as stated, and as he was identified as such in Acts chapter, Acts chapter 24, verse 5, he was called a leader of the Nazarene or the Nazarene, which was referring to the followers of Yeshua who keep the commandments and laws of Yah. So, according to 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 6, it states that the God of this world is Satan. And Satan is trying his best to keep the world in darkness to the light of the good news by Nazarene Israelites, like Paul. As stated in 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verses 6, chapter 3, verses 3 through 6, actually. Correction, chapter 4, verses 3 through 6. But if our gospel be hid, it is hid to them that are lost, and whom the God of this world have blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of the glorious gospel of Messiah, who is the image of Elohim, should shine unto them. For we preach not ourselves, but Messiah Yeshua, who is Yah, and ourselves your servants for Yeshua's sake. For Elohim, who commanded the light to shine out of darkness, have shined in our hearts to give the light of the knowledge of the glory of Elohim in the face of Yeshua Mashiach. Notice, shining light as a witness of Messiah is what fulfills the prophecy in Isaiah 49, verse 6, where he says the light thing that you would raise up to 12, that you would raise up the tribes of Israel, but to restore the Nazari. They got the word in that verse as preserved of Israel, but in the Hebrew it says to restore the Nazari. That meant you are part of an awakening, not just any awakening. There's a lot of people that use the phrase awakening, but specifically the awakening that Yah is specifically dealing with is an awakening not just of understanding your identity or your commitment to the covenant, but also to an awakening to the doctrine of the Nazari people. You see, Israelites got all kind of strange doctrine right now. And so, yeah, there's an awakening, but until that doctrine lines up with Yah's truth, it's good intentions, but it's still not the awakening of Yah. But it's getting there. We just hope and pray that these are portents of things, better things to come, because we're in a sorry state of affairs. When some believe America is Israel, some believe Africa is Israel. And now we just heard tonight that some believe the third temple is going to be built in the ballroom of the White House. And so it doesn't amaze me. We hear strange things all the time. If you've been around Israelites as long as me, you pretty much have heard it all in one way or another. But the fact is, truth is going to be seen through us to the world. Now, that indicates some things. In Acts chapter 24, verse 5, Paul was called a leader of the Nazari Jews as stated, quote, "For we have found this man a pestilent fellow and a mover of sedition among all the Jews throughout the world, and a ringleader of the sect of the Nazarenes." So in Hebrew, the word Nazarene is Nazari, which means followers of the Netzer, meaning the branch, which is referring to the prophecy of Messiah Yeshua as being the Netzer, or branch of the family of Jesse, through the family of his son, King David, as described in the prophecy of Isaiah 11:1, which states, "And there shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Jesse, and a branch," in Hebrew, Netzer, "shall grow out of his roots." In Isaiah 49:6, it describes the time when the Nazari Israelites will be restored as light bearers of the good news of the kingdom of Yah to the world just before the end of this world system. It's stated by our Master Yeshua in Matthew 24, verse 14. It states, quote, "And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come." So in our study tonight, we will explore the truth about the seventh king in Revelation 17:10 as being a resistor to the advancement of the kingdom good news of the restored Nazari Israelites in these last days, who keep the commandments of Moses and have the true testimony of Yeshua, as stated in Revelation chapter 12, verse 17, quote, "And the dragon was wroth with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of Elohim and have the testimony of Yeshua Mashiach." The mother here is Jerusalem, the capital of Israel. The real children of or citizens of Jerusalem are her restored Nazari Israelites who keep the commandments of Yah and have the testimony of Yeshua. Our master Yeshua said, "Before the end comes," at the time when the Nazari Israelites are proclaiming the good news of the kingdom as a light unto the world, as foretold in Isaiah 49:6. Our master warns of troubled times that eventually will lead up to the end of this world, as reported in Matthew chapter 24, verse 3 through 14, which all state as stated, quote, "And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world?" And Yeshua answered and said unto them, "Take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Mashiach, and shall deceive many. And you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise up against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in divers places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And then many will be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall rise, and shall deceive many, because the iniquity shall abound. The love of many shall wax cold, but he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom, this good news of the kingdom, shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. So, in the midst of these times, when we, the restored Nazari Israelite people, are spreading the good news of the kingdom around the world, particularly on social media platforms as YouTube, Instagram, X, Facebook, Rumble, etc. These are signs that the Master said for us to be aware of at the time when we're spreading this good news around the world, particularly as we're doing it on these social media platforms. The signs that Yeshua was warning of in verses 5 through 8 in Matthew 24 are signs of the end that are coming, and some of them are manifesting now around the world. Yet in Matthew 24, verse 9 through 10, the persecutions as described there are yet to come in full force, not just deplatforming you or causing your message to be stopped. That is a persecution. There's other persecution, but the actual full force persecution has not yet happened, but it's coming, and you know it. So in Matthew 24, verse 9 through 10, the persecutions are described that are yet to come in full force, such as stated again in verse 9 and 10. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. Then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. Now, tonight, I've come to see more details as to this period mentioned here in Matthew 24, verse 9 through 10, that's already familiar to us, where it says they will deliver you up to be afflicted. You'll be hated. Many will betray one another and hate one another among the chosen people. It is now this week that I believe Yah showed me through his word that this is describing the time leading up to the end in the time of the seventh king in Revelation 17, verse 10, that he will initiate the persecutions as described in Matthew 24, verses 9 through 10, where it says, then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you. You shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. It is now, and I believe the Most High was dealing with me on this, that these events mentioned there are events that will be initiated by the seventh king. Even though he has a short time, he's going to have a big impact. Now, whether it's Trump, I don't know for sure, but he certainly is one of the leading candidates for sure. I think somebody mentioned, what about Prince Charles? Well, he's a candidate too. What about the Pope? Yep, he's a candidate also. I mean, we can go down a list of potential, but whatever the case is, once we see it, we'll know that's the seventh king mentioned in Revelation 17:10. Now, the seventh king will begin the groundwork that leads up to the beast of the bottomless pit, known as the Antichrist, who will emerge in the time of the end for 42 months or 3.5 years, according to Revelation 13, verse 4 through 6, which state, and they worship the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and they worship the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast, who is able to make war with him. And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies. And power was given unto him to continue 42 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against Elohim, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven. Master Yeshua infers in Matthew 24, verse 14 through 15, that the end comes when the Antichrist commits the sacrilege called the abomination of desolation, which is what we will be commemorating about the historical incident of this in the days of the Maccabees, about 160 BC, when Antiochus Epiphanes invaded and desecrated the temple in Jerusalem. And so we'll be recounting some of these things next month when we do Hanukkah. So Hanukkah's coming up in a few weeks, and that's really at the heart of what Hanukkah is about. However, when Yeshua is referring to abomination of desolation here in Matthew 24, verse 15, he's talking about something in the future. He's not talking about the past. Even though we do know he observed Hanukkah, he went in, or the Feast of Dedication, and went into the temple on that date, as reported in John chapter 10. Okay, but there's a future abomination of desolation that takes place in a coming third temple in Jerusalem, as foretold in Daniel 9:27. All these verses taken together, verse 14 and 15 state, and this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation, spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place, whoso readeth, let him understand. So basically, these are warnings of what's coming after the seventh king. But leading up to the abomination, to that time when the beast does emerge, there will be a seventh king who will initiate severe persecutions against the saints. Trump holding up that ark, that victory arch, was really very telling, because that commemorates the destruction of Yah's people, Israel. That's when that victory ark was put up in Rome. So this seems to be a lot deeper than what meets the eye. This is a time to really get deeper in the word. So we're looking at a period of time at the end that our master calls in Matthew 24, verse 21. He calls it the Great Tribulation period. The Great Tribulation period happens after the seventh king. All right, so leading up to it, there's going to be birth pains leading up to it, and then all of a sudden it just burst out all over the place. And verse 21, Matthew 24, and then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no ever shall be. But before the coming of the end, Nazari Israelites will excel in communicating the message of the good news of the kingdom throughout this troubled world. Currently, among Israelites, there are some excellent information technology people among us with skills of computer-generated abilities, where now they can make movies and messages just from the computer-generated process, without all of the big overhead production management, like from Hollywood. It bypasses Hollywood and the legacy broadcasting systems on TV. And now many of our IT people, information technology people that you and I know of, like Benaya Israel, those to others, their sites are being seen all over the world. And the message, in fact, the message we're doing right now, it's going to be posted on YouTube to a worldwide audience. Can you imagine the capability of this? I remember back in the 80s, I remember telling my wife back then, they say one day you and I could just sit up in our living room and we'll be able to communicate truth to the whole world. And we just thought that was like something so incredible. Well, what are we doing right now? Here it is. Here it is. Yah's allowed this to happen because Yeshua said this good news of the kingdom will have to go throughout the whole world. And so we put our sites up on YouTube. We don't know who's going to watch it, but you never know. There could be somebody way in Timbuktu listening to you and me talking on this site. Or there could be somebody in Fiji, way in the middle of the Pacific. By the way, there's a Hebrew awakening happening in Fiji, by the way. They're claiming they're of the tribe of Benjamin. All right, so around the world, these are amazing times, as our master warned us, that also accompanying the advancement of our technological abilities to advance the good news of the kingdom throughout the world, that persecutions are on their way as well. Now, all these persecutions that are coming, they lead up to the end, which will take place and be initiated by the seventh king mentioned in Revelation chapter 17, verse 10. That is, he will lead a campaign against the truth to try to stop the advancement of the truth throughout the world, but he won't be able to stop it. Now, there will be persecutions. I think we're on the verge of that. I'm beginning to hear here in Chicago, not everybody that's being grabbed by ICE are illegal immigrants. They're grabbing some people who are legal immigrants. And they're holding them without trial, and they'll have to sit for a long time before it's discovered they should have been let go and never taken. It's brewing. Now, as of now, I can't say necessarily that Trump is going to do this, but as we always say, it bears watching.